The Amazing Digital Circus is one of my favorite shows right now. Heck, episode 6 is one of my favorite episodes of all time, period. Not just in the Digital Circus. The characters have so much depth and are super fun and interesting to watch and overthink. And the character designs are awesome and super fun to draw. But there's one character who I think is often overlooked in conversations about the circus, Pomni. The Digital Circus fandom is an interesting place to say the least. There are some really good and some really bad parts. But anyway, one take I've seen a lot of among the fandom is that we don't really know much about Pomni as a character. That she only really serves as an anchor or therapist for all the other characters. This really simplifies the role she has. There's a lot of depth to her character. Her arc just feels so real and flows so naturally that it can be hard to spot. But it is definitely there. It can be summed up from her growing more confident as the series goes on, but I feel like it goes deeper than that. In this video, I'm going to try and go deeper into her mind and give you my interpretation of her character, to understand her thought process, to show how she reacts to living in a circus, and detailing her arc. I want to explain the reason why she is my second favorite character in the Amazing Digital Circus, next to Jax of course. In the pilot episode, upon entering the circus, she's constantly in denial that the circus is even real in the first place, zoning out and distancing herself from the situation and the other people around her, telling herself, oh, it's all a dream, when it's very clearly not. And the only thing she can really think about is finding a way to escape the circus. On her way to find Kane to fix up Ragatha and take care of the abstracted Kaufmo, she stumbles into a mirror and sees herself for the first time in her reflection, and is horrified by what she sees. Pomni sees that she isn't herself anymore. The body she's in isn't her real body. She sees herself in her most hopeless state. By the end of the episode, the reality of her situation fully sinks in when she's at the dinner table. This is all real. She is stuck, and to her, nothing she does matters. She's not in the real world anymore, and she cannot make a mark in the world. So what's the point in trying? This is opposed to Jax's way of thinking. Jax copes by gaslighting himself to think this isn't real, so the way he treats the others does not matter. But I'll talk more about Jax and Pomni's dynamic later. Episode 2 starts with a Pomni dream sequence that shows her beginning to abstract. She then falls into the cellar and is taunted by shadowy versions of the Digital Circus cast.
Looks like our new friend's already abstracted.
Well, I guess we're not all cut out for it.
I don't even remember her name, honestly.
This sequence most likely represents her fear of abstracting and being forgotten. Now, you can't exactly die in a circus. The only way to kinda die is abstraction. It is basically death, or how I like to interpret it, in a way I haven't really seen anyone else do, a metaphor for suicide. Abstracting is when you're so depressed and drained of all purpose that you give up and reach your breaking point. You see no point in continuing, you have no purpose, and just surrender to absolute nothing. This ties into Pomni's fear that there isn't going to be anyone who cares if she abstracts. She doesn't think there's a purpose in keeping on living if nobody cares. In her conversation with Gummigoo in episode 2, after he and Pomni glitched out of bounds and discovered he was just an NPC made by Kane, not a real person, just an obstacle to be defeated, Pomni sees how shaken up Gummigoo is and sees herself in him from when she first arrived in the circus. And she tells him how she doesn't want anybody to feel like nothing matters, just like she does.
Why are you trying to cheer me up? How does this benefit you at all?
I guess I just don't want you to feel like you're nothing. I don't want anybody to feel like that.
Helping him forces Pomni to deal with her own problems through him. That is also why she is so devastated when Kane deletes him.
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through.
Wait, what?
Kane, deleting Gummigoo, opposes her entire newfound point of view on the circus. Pomni thought she found someone she could relate to, someone she could find purpose in helping. But now that one person Pomni thought could be her purpose had been deleted out of existence. Her first attempt at meaning gets destroyed. And this proves to her that nothing she does really matters, because Kane could just take it all away. And if it can all be taken away, how can anything have meaning? That is why Kinger's conversation with Pomni in episode 3 is so important, because it is what has motivated her to keep going. Kinger says something to Pomni that she took to heart and resonated with.
In this world, the worst thing you can do is make someone think they're not wanted or loved.
She has applied those words to her way of living in a circus throughout the rest of the series, comforting other characters in the infamous therapy sessions. In episode 3, after just meeting back with the circus members after returning from the adventure with Kinger, Pomni talks to Ragatha. Pomni tells her how she hasn't been appreciative enough of Ragatha, always looking out for Pomni in her worst moments of anxiety. This conversation being right after Pomni and Kinger's heartfelt conversation implies that she did, in fact, take what Kinger said to heart. In episode 4, where they work at the Spudsy's fast food place, when Pomni sees Gangle struggling, she tries to reach out to her, but when that doesn't work, she simply offers to close for her instead. From that simple act, Pomni unknowingly just saved Gangle from moving further towards abstracting, showing that a small gesture can be everything. The biggest example of her taking Kinger's words to heart is Jax. Even though he's an abusive, egotistical asshole, Pomni sees through small glimpses of him opening up to her, to have like an actual normal conversation for episode 5, and knows that there's so much more to him than he lets on. He is in fact a chicken fetus in an egg that needs to be cracked open. Pomni decides to go out of her way to try to understand him, try to befriend him, and try to start making him open up even more. Even when he pushes her away, tells her that she never was his friend, and that everyone in the circus are his playthings, Pomni still tries to reach out to him and make Jax feel like he belongs through episodes 7 and 8. Pomni and the others still don't forgive him for what he's done, but from Pomni's actions, it seemed like she would still be down to be friends with him. I see you funny bunny shippers, bro. All of this to say, that's why she's so eager to reach out to everyone and understand them, so she can make other people feel wanted and loved, so that she, in turn, can learn to find purpose in others. She doesn't want anyone feeling just like the one thing Pomni was so scared of, being unwanted and forgotten. Pomni desperately wants to belong and to have a purpose in her life in the circus. She's reminded again by a conversation with Kinger that there are still other people in the circus in her same situation, that there is a reason to keep going. There are people who care about you. You can find a purpose by helping and being there for others. It is very clear from her reactions to the people that she's helping that Pomni enjoys seeing others happy, and she enjoys comforting others. Jax and Ragatha cope in ways that actually just end up hurting them. Ragatha doesn't actually get anything from being overly happy all the time and prioritizing others over her own well-being. And Jax lies to himself and pushes others away just because he doesn't want to get hurt. But it always ends up hurting him even more later. Pomni's coping mechanism is probably the most healthy in the entire series. She does get hurt helping others, i.e. Gummy-Goo exploding and the argument with Jax, but she doesn't get hurt in the same way. Ragatha and Jax are constantly hurting because of their behavior, while Pomni helping others doesn't really have a downside. While helping others still hurt her at times, it doesn't break her in the same way, because Pomni is very genuine and knows when to prioritize her well-being. Like when she reached out to Jax. The only reason she really tries to reach out to him is when he himself makes the first move. And in episode 6, where she just ends up on Jax's team due to Ragatha not wanting Kinger and Jax together on the same team. Because she knows he is an asshole. He literally threw her out of a moving truck. But if she is willing to reach out to Jax, she probably feels like she could do something about it. Pomni is the one that brings these people together. She gets them to open up to each other. It could seem that she's just doing this to distract herself from the reality that they are just gonna all abstract one day. It's partially that, but I think she's just making the best out of her situation. The creator Gooseworks has stated that the series is about finding meaning in a stagnant life. And that is what Pomni is all about. She's a walking thesis. She embodies all the themes of the show. As of episode 8, she's like the only person who's most confident, or at least feels okay in their life at the circus at this point, because they have subconsciously found their purpose. She is the one who came up with the idea of abandoning the concept of finding an exit in the first place. It is such a stark contrast to every other person in the circus as of episode 8, and how she was in the pilot herself. The others are a lot more insecure about their existence, and Pilot Pomni would never abandon the idea of finding a way out. The mirror scene callback is such a great moment for not just the evolution of the show's look and feel, but the development of Pomni's character. When looking in the mirror, she is confident and focused on stopping Kane, and isn't frightened by her own appearance. There's obviously still a bit of insecurity in her. She doesn't want this life and is still very clearly afraid of being forgotten. That being pretty much confirmed or really heavily implied in episode 6, where Pomni asks Jax what he would do if she would abstract tomorrow. Jax answers that he would probably forget about her, and while Jax didn't actually mean it, he's just being an asshole, she is visibly hurt and goes quiet for a bit. It shows she is still scared. Jax sees that he himself, from his regretful look down before he taunts her, shows that he regrets saying what he did, but is too much of a coward to drop the facade. But this is leaning too much on Jax, so back to Pomni. She has indeed found her purpose, but like with Gummy Goo, she is scared that it's all just going to be taken away or changed. In episode 4, Gummy Goo comes back as a customer, and Pomni is clearly enamored with the fact that he's back, but starts to realize that this isn't the Gummy Goo she knew. All of his memories were wiped, and he was like a totally new person. The Gloink Queen actually functions as a reminder. Let me explain. The Gloink Queen was a villain in a previous adventure. She's now just a regular customer at the food place and is nothing like how she was in the pilot. As Gummy Goo leaves, Pomni looks back at the Gloink Queen and realizes that these NPCs can just be changed whenever. Even though she never actually sees the Gloink Queen in the pilot, but I definitely think it is intended as a moment of realization. But anyway, she decides to literally and figuratively let Gummy Goo go, allowing him to exit the food place, accepting that Gummy Goo is gone. But she's not entirely letting go. She got reminded of that fear again when it was shown in episode 8 to her by Kane in the torture sequence. Bringing back Gummy Goo as a monster, changing literally everything about him, represents her fear that nothing matters, that everything can just be taken away out of nowhere. So while she has definitely grown and found her purpose, it is constantly being challenged by her existence in the circus. And it will be interesting to see how it plays out when episode 9 comes out. From the trailer, it seems like it will be a crazy experience. I'm really excited for episode 9 to see how this story ends. I have been with it ever since the first episode came out. I wasn't hooked on it at first, but after episode 3 I really started to vibe with this series. Sadly, The Amazing Digital Circus is ending soon. But I'm glad Gooseworks will get to finish the series on their own accord. It will be interesting to see how every character arc will conclude. Thanks for watching this video. Remember, these are my thoughts and probably not the intended ones, but it was fun to make. This video was inspired by the YouTuber Artie's video on Pomni's character arc. She got me to think more about Pomni and why I love her character so much. I haven't watched it fully because I wanted to make up my own interpretations and come to my own conclusions, but do watch it. I will probably watch it too later. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Yes, bye bye.